I was standing in my kitchen, stacks of crisp hundreds spread across the granite island like green tiles in a winning poker hand, $2 million from the sale of my 72-foot Viking. The ink on the title transfer was still wet when my phone lit up. HOA President Marlene Whitaker, voice shrill enough to cut glass, screaming that I was running an illegal boat dealership from my driveway. 3 patrol cars roared into the cul-de-sac minutes later, lights painting the palms red and blue. Deputies jumped out, hands hovering over holsters, ready to cuff me for the crime of selling my own yacht. Diesel still clung to my shirt from the marina goodbye, but the 911 call boomeranged. Marlene's crusade to kill my payday was cover for siphoning $3 million from HOA funds. Fake invoices, shell companies, the full grift. By week's end, FBI windbreakers were boxing files from the association office while neighbors filmed on their phones. Marlene faces 20 federal years. Ever had an HOA try to sink your biggest score? Tell me your worst neighbor story below. I read every one. My name is Tom Harrington. After 30 years engineering offshore rigs that pulled billions of barrels from the Gulf, I sold the firm and bought waterfront piece in Egret Bay, Florida. Deep canal, private dock rated for 80 feet. 8 years restoring a 1987 Hatteras 65 I'd rescued from auction became a $2 million jewel. Neighbors loved watching the transformation every weekend. Most were solid, retired Coast Guard skippers, business owners who respected real work. Friday sunsets meant dock cocktails and sea stories. Then Marlene arrived from Michigan, widowed, 67, and hungry for control. Within a month, she created Community Standards Officer and patrolled in a white Tahoe, snapping photos of anything that offended her. She told Captain Walt his crab traps attracted undesirables. Walt had 30 years in the Navy. Undesirables meant people who actually used their boats. First violation arrived under my door. Commercial marine equipment visible from common areas. My toolbox, the same instruments that survived Katrina. I brought her fresh snapper, offered a tour. Mistake. She lectured me about unlicensed businesses degrading values. Light bulb moment. This wasn't about tools. It was class war on a guy who got his hands dirty despite the bank balance. She scheduled a hearing on a Tuesday at 10 when working owners were at jobs. Stale coffee and carpet stink filled the room while Marlene showed slides of my wrenches. The board, mostly retirees who couldn't tell a bow from a broiler, voted $500 daily fines until I removed everything. Game on. 2 days later, I'm on the dock at sunrise, coffee steaming, when her Tahoe screeches in and blocks the slip. She jumps out photographing my Hatteras like a crime scene. I walk over. You're obstructing navigable water, Marlene. Federal offense. She doesn't look up. Documenting violations. Vessel exceeds dock length. I start recording. Florida Statute 327.60. Coast Guard takes this seriously. She peels out, rubber smoking. Afternoon call from Deputy Alvarez, trying not to laugh. Marlene claimed I threatened her with technical maritime weapons. Alvarez, ex-Coast Guard Reserve, visits, eyes my boat hook, chuckles. That the weapon? Between us, he says her calls about suspicious vessels are daily. I install pro-grade cameras, motion, night vision, cloud backup. 48 hours later, 5:47 a.m., alert pings. Marlene on my dock with a cordless drill, boring holes in pressure-treated lumber. I save the clip. Next day, she schedules emergency meeting to ban intimidating surveillance. Tuesday, 2 p.m. Again. But retired sailors have time and tactics. Walt rallies every captain she targeted. The room smells of coffee and righteous anger. Marlene claims my cameras violate elderly privacy. Walt's foghorn voice cuts in. Only hostile environment is the one you built harassing every boater. Doubt flickers in her eyes for the first time. 3 days later, Alvarez calls. Marlene says I'm flying drones over her house. She shows edited phone video. I counter with time-stamped footage of her drilling my dock. Third incident that week. Alvarez sighs. We're flagging her as chronic false reporter. Engineering instinct kicks in. Relentless attack usually hides bigger rot. I upgrade to offshore-grade cameras. Next morning, Marlene's sampling my dock wood at 6:15 like a termite inspector. I call maritime attorney Claire Donovan. Hypothetically, trespass and damage over $500? She says stop hypothetically and send the file. Marlene hires marine consultant Brad Whitaker, her nephew from landlocked Ohio. He shows up in new deck shoes, asks where the front of the boat is, measures beam 3 times, gets 3 numbers, writes the engine is disconnected as a violation. Report claims 17 infractions, demands removal. Pure fiction, my tanks are Coast Guard certified. Researching dock jurisdiction, I learned federal waters start at my seawall. Coast Guard, not HOA, rules navigation. Game changer. Walt's living room becomes war room. His walls, Navy commendations. We lay out footage, notices, timelines. Marlene has hit 7 owners in 6 weeks, same playbook. Walt? She wants a yacht club for showboats, no real sailors. Eliminates anyone who could spot fake marina work. Sunday, widow Betty Lang calls. Her late husband Ray was treasurer 15 years. She produces dusty boxes. 2 years, $340,000 to Gulf Marine Contractors LLC for dredging, piling repairs, underwater electrical. Ray's notes, asked to see work. Always next month, or submerged, not visible. Photos from 2022 versus now. Marina, unchanged. Shell Company, P.O. Box, no trace. Betty's hands shake. Ray died 3 days after demanding inspection. We call Claire. Expand suit. Contact FBI. That's mail fraud, wire fraud, 20 years each. Monday, Claire's conference room. Maritime charts, legal pads, Cuban coffee. FBI agent Lopez joins from Tampa. Gulf Marine has hit 3 counties, millions in ghost projects. Beauty of marine fraud. Landlubbers can't verify underwater work. Plan. I sell the yacht Saturday as scheduled. Lopez wants Marlene to interfere on camera. Federal wiretaps live. Walt maps extra cameras. Betty supplies community center keys. Saturday, 8:30 a.m., robocall. Gas leak. Marina evacuated. Marlene in orange vest cones off the ramp. I smell only salt and varnish. Fire Chief Doyle, Coast Guard Auxiliary, tests air. Normal. Marlene insists on invisible vapors. DEP truck next for chemical spill. Water pristine. Tow truck blocks entrance for recovery operation. Buyer Jack Brennan flies in from Houston, Stetson, and boots. Sees the circus, laughs. I've bought leases from men with shotguns. Orange vest lady ain't stopping me. Marlene tries clipboard authority. Jack, you Coast Guard? EPA? Then step aside, ma'am. She dials 911. Illegal boat trafficking, threats with maritime weapons. Deputies plus Coast Guard arrive. Inspector Ruiz boards, full inspection. Report, exceeds every standard. Alvarez gets dispatch. Marlene made 17 false calls in 6 weeks. Agent Lopez steps from his sedan. Marlene Whitaker, FBI. You're under arrest. Conspiracy, mail fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement. Cuffs click. Jack starts slow clap. Neighbors join. Best boat buying day ever. Community center that night. Standing room only, news cameras. Lopez lays out the scheme. 340,000 stolen. No work done. Marlene screams conspiracy, drug running. Jack from front row. Only thing trafficked here is top-tier fiberglass work. Laughter drowns her. Lopez, 6 months surveillance, 85 grand in kickbacks, emails, transfers. You targeted experts to hide the grift. Cuffs again, perp walk on local news. 6 months later, Walt is HOA president, finances public online. Recovered money funds real dock lights, new ramp, marine scholarships. I consult nationwide, busting similar scams. Marlene, 18 years, no parole. Ring dismantled, 23 arrests. Egret Bay is now the boat-friendliest waterfront in Florida. Kids learn knots while I sand the next project. Sun sets gold on calm water. Laughter drifts from the dock grill. Justice, like a well-found vessel, writes itself if you document every leak. What about you? Ever faced HOA tyranny or neighborhood injustice? Drop your story below. Where do you stand on fighting back? Cameras and federal law? Or turn the other cheek? Speak up. I read every word.